Poor boy exposes heartwarming truth: his fiancée blocked his daughter's incredible chance to walk. In the quaint town of Springfield, Ohio, Jake, a working-class single father, poured his heart and soul into every greasy hour spent at the local mechanic shop. His hands were battered, but his spirit never waned. Every evening, he returned home to his little haven, where sunlight spilled through the windows and filled their cramped living room with warmth. Mia, his bright-eyed daughter, lit up their world. Her laughter echoed like a sweet melody, a reminder of joys past and hopes greater yet, but that laughter masked the shadows lingering in their lives. Jake's late wife had left them too soon, and Mia faced her own challenge, a mobility condition that made each step a Herculean effort. Yet, Mia dreamed big, and Jake was determined to give her every chance to reach those dreams, to see her stand and walk on her own. Then, when the letter arrived from the prestigious therapy program, it felt like a burst of sunlight piercing through the clouds. Jake's heart raced. This was Mia's chance, but when Karen stepped into their lives, that gentle light flickered. They fell for each other fast. Karen, charming and delightful, wrapped her arms around Mia, hinting at the perfection of an idyllic life. Yet, beneath the surface, cracks began to form like the faintest cracks in ice, easily ignored but dangerously unstable. Jake, busy with hopes for Mia, didn't he consider the hidden tensions that simmered beneath Karen's smiles, that he could never have imagined the icy chill that swept through their home the evening he shared Mia's acceptance news. Karen's smile disappeared, replaced by a guarded frown. "How practical is it?" she asked coolly, her words sharp like broken glass. "Do you really think we can afford this? What if she can't keep up with the life we'll have?" A tightness crept into Jake's chest as he realized they weren't just arguing about therapy, they were battling his daughter's future. "Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Days turned into weeks of whispers and cold shoulders. Jake's heart felt like lead, each passing moment a reminder of the gulf between his ambition for Mia and Karen's increasing coldness. Exhausted after long workdays, he faced tedious nights filled with doubt and frustration. He could almost see the divide grow wider, like a rift opening between two worlds. Finally, during a particularly charged dinner, emotions boiled over. "Mia deserves this chance. You're being selfish," Jake shouted, his voice echoing in the tension-filled room. A silence fell, thick and heavy, a chasm of understanding they had never truly crossed. Karen blinked, the facade cracking. "I want us to build a perfect life," she pleaded, desperation tinging her voice. "I can't risk everything on a dream." As the words hung in the air, Jake saw for the first time the truth of their world. This wasn't just about him or even Mia, it was about the values they would carry into the future. With his heart pounding, he knew he had to fight for Mia. Believing fiercely in their community, he organized a fundraiser, spreading word to neighbors who rallied around him, recalling struggles and dreams like his. But as excitement brewed and hope bubbled over, a shocking revelation about Karen loomed on the horizon, threatening to shatter everything. With Mia's eyes shining brightly with hope, Jake understood one thing: love could fix so many broken pieces, but what if it was tested one final time? Jake stood on his front porch, a stack of flyers crumpled in his hand, the evening sun casting warm hues across Springfield. The upcoming fundraiser was just days away. Yet, despite the community's support, he felt a storm brewing inside him. Questions nagged at him: could he really make it happen? Could his little girl really stand on her own? As he watched Mia ride her bike down the quiet road, laughter bubbling from her lips, the sight brought him both joy and pain. Each push of her pedals was a quiet protest against her struggle, a bold declaration of her dream to walk. He understood that look of determination well, it was the same spark that had drawn him to Karen. The thought of that spark fizzling out felt unbearable. He turned back inside, where Karen was silently folding laundry. The tension hung in the air, heavier than the humid Ohio summer. Every creak from the floorboards echoed their unspoken thoughts. He approached her cautiously. "We need to talk," he said, attempting to mask the tremor in his voice. Karen's eyes narrowed, lips pressed together tightly. "About what, Jake? About Mia's dreams, or more about your fundraiser?" Her tone cut through any hope for a gentle conversation. "Both, actually. We can't keep ignoring this." His voice rose slightly, revealing the festering frustration. "She needs this. I need you to be on board with this, Karen. She is our daughter." At the use of our, Karen flinched, the distance between them clanging into painful clarity. "But she isn't really mine, Jake. I never signed up to be a part of this. You and her, you've been a package deal since day one. And now I'm supposed to risk everything?" The weight of her words landed hard, like a punch. "Risk? Karen, I'm not asking you to give up your dreams. I'm asking for the chance to help Mia build hers." She spun away, folding more laundry with disdain. Jake felt his heart plummet. This wasn't just an argument, it was the moment they could either fall together or drift apart. He had heard about those couples that fought through tough times and emerged stronger. But what would happen if their fight was against each other? "I'm not backing down, Karen," he said quietly, the determination simmering beneath his words. "I'll do whatever it takes to support Mia." Suddenly, her breath hitched, and for a fleeting moment, he saw vulnerability flicker in her eyes. "Jake, is it really worth it? What if it doesn't work?" His heart thudded. "She's worth it. Every effort, every ounce of struggle. You have to see that." Karen turned to face him fully, shoulders slumped. "But I'm scared. What if I end up hurt? What if this all crumbles?" Jake stepped closer. "You aren't alone. We're a family, but we all have to be in this together. Can't you see? Instead of staying afraid, maybe it's time we all take a leap of faith." Their eyes locked, and for the first time, he felt her wall beginning to crack. Just then, the doorbell rang, shattering the moment. "Who could that be?" Karen asked, annoyance creeping back into her voice. Jake shrugged, but a sense of foreboding washed over him. As he opened the door, the sight before him sent chills down his spine. Standing there was a familiar face, one that threatened to unravel the fragile threads holding them together. "Jake, we need to talk. It's about Mia and her therapy," the visitor said, urgency hanging thickly in the air. Jake's heart raced. Would this alter everything he had fought for? Jake's breath caught in his throat as he recognized the visitor, a tall figure with sunken eyes and a familiar sense of urgency. It was Dr. Baker, Mia's physical therapist, the one who had always had the right words in the right moments, guiding them through Mia's recovery. But now, the shadow over his face felt ominous. "Dr. Baker," Jake said, forcing a steady tone. "What is going on?" The therapist stepped inside, glancing at Karen, whose posture stiffened like a spring caught in tension. "We need to discuss Mia's upcoming therapy evaluations," he began, but Jake could hear the weight beneath his words. "What about them?" Jake asked, his voice barely concealing the dread creeping in. "There's been a breakthrough," Dr. Baker said, taking a deep breath. "Mia qualifies for a special program. It uses advanced techniques focusing on mobility and strength. But it's only available for a limited time." Jake's heart soared momentarily, only to be replaced by confusion. What's the catch? Why are we just hearing about this now? Dr. Baker shifted his weight, the gravity of the moment seeming to deepen the silence. "The program requires a sizable financial commitment which you'll need to secure soon." Karen's jaw tightened at the mention of finances. Jake felt the atmosphere change. He could see the doubt flickering across her face, a scene he had feared playing in his mind. "But we can do this," he said, his voice filled with a mix of urgency and desperation. "Mia can't miss this chance. It could change everything for her." "Jake, we need to be realistic," Karen interjected, her voice sharp. "What if it doesn't work? What if Dr. Baker's somber gaze pierced through the concern? This is a chance for Mia, but I understand your doubts. The fear is real. It could take more than just funding. It's all about her emotional readiness, too." Jake felt a wave of uncertainty crash over him. We've faced worse. She's ready, and she's always been a fighter. But what if we're not enough? Karen whispered, softer now, a crack forming at the edge of her resolve. "Mia believes she can walk, and we have to believe in her," he replied, his heart aching with the urgency of hope. "The fundraiser, it can help us reach the target. We'll rally the entire community. It's their chance to support a child who fights against the odds." "You say that so easily," Karen shot back, the weight of reality crushing. "What about the risks to us? To me? What if this doesn't go as planned? What if the community turns away too?" Jake's chest tightened. "But what if they don't? What if this is the moment we change Mia's story? What if we don't try and this is what she needed?" They stood there, caught in an emotional swirl, 3 lives hanging in the balance of decisions made and paths taken. Dr. Baker glanced between them, sensing the tension thrumming like a guitar string about to snap. "You need to decide quickly. Mia deserves this. But she needs her parents to be on the same page." Just then, Mia burst through the door, a picture of joy, her mini triumphs on a bike now igniting a new hope within Jake. "Look! I can ride faster than ever!" she exclaimed, eyes sparkling. The room grew heavy with silence. How could they contradict the beauty of her spirit? "Mom! Dad! Can you come see?" Mia called out, breaking the spell. Jake exchanged a glance with Karen. The choice loomed. They needed unity now together, for their daughter. "Karen, please," Jake urged, "it's time to hold on, together." But as they followed Mia into the yard, the weight of decisions lingered heavily, almost crushing. Would they find a path back to each other, or was this the moment they'd both fearfully step away? With each push of the bicycle, Mia pedaled towards something greater, a moment of truth that resonated deep within Jake's heart. They were running out of time, and with every turn, questions loomed larger. Could they really support Mia, or would fear keep them locked in place? Mia darted out of the room, bursting with energy. Her laughter echoed through the hall, lifting some of the heaviness clinging to Jake and Karen. Jake followed her into the yard, where the glow of the late afternoon sun made everything look alive, almost magical. "Watch me," Mia called as she circled the driveway, her small legs working hard to pedal faster. Jake could see the determination etched on her face. She was ready to conquer the world, one push at a time. "Look how fast she's going," he shouted, clapping. Karen stood by the door, her arms crossed, conflicted. Jake could sense her fear blanketing the moment. "She's doing amazing," he said, glancing back to her. "This is proof she believes in herself." "She's a child, Jake," Karen replied, her voice taut. "What happens when the reality of this program becomes too much for her?" "It won't," Jake countered, stepping closer. "This is about giving her a chance. We can worry about what happens later. But what if later is too late?" Karen whispered, anxiety simmering beneath her surface. Jake sighed, rubbing the back of his neck. He remembered the first day they took Mia to therapy, how her face lit up when Dr. Baker had encouraged her. What if this program was just the breakthrough she needed? He wanted to shout that they could make it work. "Mia!" he called out, trying to redirect the conversation. "Come here, sweetie." Mia slowed down and hopped off her bike, her cheeks flushed with excitement. "Did you see how I turned?" she asked, her eyes wide with joy. You were incredible. Jake beamed, crouching to her level. You're becoming a real pro. Can I ride in the park tomorrow? Mia asked, her enthusiasm infectious. You bet. Jake replied, eager to distract her from the tension hanging in the air. He turned to Karen, a plea in his eyes. She deserves this, Karen. We can't let money stop her. Jake. Karen started, but before she could continue, Mia tugged at his hand. Can I have a lemonade? She asked, beaming. I'm really thirsty. Absolutely, Jake said, ruffling her hair as they walked toward the kitchen. As he opened the fridge, he could feel Karen watching him, evaluating. You're really set on this, aren't you? She said softly. Jake turned, giving her his full attention. I am. I believe in Mia, and I believe in us. We can fundraise, we can find a way. But it won't be that simple, Karen replied, her voice cracking. All I know is she's out there riding her bike, and that is a miracle. How can we not give her this chance? It's not just about the program, it's about everything it represents. Hope, resilience. What if we fail? Karen asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Maybe we fail at some things, but not trying will hurt even more. Imagine if she takes her first steps along with the summer sun. Jake paused, pushing aside his own fears. What if she succeeds because we took that leap? A long silence followed, heavy with possibility. Jake could feel Karen's resolve starting to crack, but there was also something more, a glimmer of hope. Just then, Mia came racing back, her bike squeaking as she skidded to a stop. Look what I can do! She shouted, executing a triumphant little dance on the pedals. Jake and Karen exchanged a soft smile, temporary unity forged through their daughter's vigor. But even as he reached for Karen's hand, the uncertainty lingered like a storm cloud, reminding them that now they had to make a choice that could change everything. Let us talk it over, okay? Karen finally suggested, her voice steadier with determination. Agreed, Jake nodded, but as he watched Mia play, he felt a renewed urgency. We need to act fast. With that thought hanging in the air, the worry returned. Would they find the strength to embrace this path together, or was the truth still waiting to be uncovered? In that moment, an idea started to form, one that might pull them both in and raise the stakes higher than they ever anticipated. What if they enlisted everyone, not just for fundraising but to witness Mia's ride to hope? The thought sent chills down his spine. Would their small efforts inspire a greater movement? Or could it spark an unexpected resistance? Mia sipped her lemonade, the sweet tangy taste refreshing against her flushed cheeks. Can we go to the park right now? She asked, eyes sparkling with excitement. Jake glanced at Karen, seeking her approval. Let us just finish our drinks first, okay, kiddo? He managed with a tight smile, trying to keep the conversation light, but the weight of their earlier discussion weighed heavily on his shoulders. Okay. She chirped, taking another big gulp. The fervor in her voice was contagious, making Jake's heart swell with pride. He wanted to bottle that enthusiasm and carry it with them, a shield against the doubts creeping in. Karen remained quiet, her thoughts clearly elsewhere. It scared Jake how the tension between them was morphing into something palpable, a gap threatening to widen further. He needed her on board, fully. This was for Mia, after all. What do you think we should do? Jake finally asked, breaking the silence. We need a plan. If we host an event, a bike-a-thon or something, I think people would come together. You know how many families are facing similar struggles. Karen bit her lip, visibly torn. That sounds great, Jake, but we need to consider what? He interrupted, exasperated. That it might not be financially viable? Or that people won't show up? No. It's not that, Karen argued, her voice rising slightly. I don't want Mia to get hurt. If it gets to be too much, if we can't raise the funds or if she struggles. But if we don't try, she'll never get the chance. Jake's voice cracked with intensity. Mia, oblivious to the rising tension, hopped off her chair. Can we ride my bike to the park, please? Jake forced a smile, kneeling beside her. Of course. After we finish our drinks. He looked up at Karen, a silent plea in his eyes. Her expression softened, but uncertainty lingered. Okay, let us ride, she said finally, and they both stood to follow Mia outside, though the worry still coiled inside her. As they walked down the path to the park, the air was filled with the sound of children's laughter and the clinking of swings. It was a normal, beautiful day, a stark contrast to the whirlwind flickering inside him. Jake grabbed Mia's tiny hand, squeezing it gently, hoping to convey his support. Look at them, he said, gesturing towards a group of kids riding bikes at the park. Just like you, Mia. They're having so much fun. Can I join them? She bounced on her toes, her excitement infectious. With all my heart, yes. You have every chance to shine, Jake encouraged. Watching Mia light up was enough to silence some of his fears. But as they arrived, the joyous atmosphere felt overwhelming. A part of him felt dread seep in as he thought about how many people were watching. Would they be supportive? Would someone question Mia's abilities? Karen seemed to notice the shift in his energy. Jake, let her take this at her pace. Jake nodded, but the pressure of the situation of their future was crushing. Would Mia be the beacon of hope he envisioned, or would the harsh realities of her condition dim her light? The park buzzed with laughter, and Mia took off, bike wheels spinning, hair flying in the wind. It was an image of pure joy. But as he turned to Karen, ready to spark more conversation about their plan, he noticed a couple watching them closely, expressions guarded and critical. Let us talk to those parents, he whispered to Karen, gesturing towards them. Maybe they would want to help with the event. Karen hesitated, glancing at Mia, who was mid-lap. What if they don't understand? Then we explain, Jake replied, determination bubbling within him. Just as they started to move towards the other parents, an unexpected voice broke through the park, the sweet, young sound of Mia as she shouted, "Look at me, everyone. I'm riding." In that split second, Jake felt a rush of hope. Perhaps they could inspire others, after all. But just as he felt the warmth of possibility spreading through him, his phone buzzed in his pocket, drawing him away from the moment. He pulled it out, glancing at the screen. It was a message from Dr. Baker that changed everything. Jake, you need to see this. And as he turned back towards Karen, a terrible feeling crawled up his spine. What revelation awaited them? And could this new twist be enough to alter their plans or their future with Mia? Jake's heart raced as he read the message on his phone. Dr. Baker's words felt like a punch to the gut. He quickly glanced up at Karen, her figure poised and tight with uncertainty, the sun casting a glow around her that seemed almost surreal given the gravity of the moment. Mia. He called out, trying to sound composed, though his voice trembled slightly. Come over here for a second, sweetheart. Mia pedaled closer, her face flushed with excitement and pure joy after making another lap around the park. She stopped, balancing herself on her bike, and looked up at him with wide eyes. What is it, Daddy? Just, wait right here, okay? He managed, his gaze shifting back to the screen. There it was, faint hope lingering alongside dread. Should they even continue pursuing this bikeathon dream? What if the breakthrough he was waiting for could slip right through his fingers? Karen stepped closer, the tension crackling between them. What does it say? She asked softly, a mix of concern and curiosity flickering in her eyes. Dr. Baker wants us to see him, Jake whispered, lowering his voice as if the other parents might overhear him. He said it's important. What could be important enough to message us during a park day? She whispered back, anxiety creeping into her tone. Let us just find out, he replied, trying to muster a semblance of optimism. In that moment, Mia hopped off her bike and smoothed her dress. "Can I ride on my own now?" she asked, her voice sweet and innocent. "I want to show everyone how fast I can go." Jake's heart swelled at her determination. "Of course, honey," he said, forcing a smile. "But let us get this message figured out first, okay?" As Mia zipped back toward the colorful group of children, Jake felt a twinge of guilt wash over him. Was he robbing her of the joy that she so desperately craved? Couldn't they indulge in this moment, even just a little longer? But Dr. Baker's news hovered like a dark cloud. "Let us step over here," Karen murmured, pulling him slightly away from the wild laughter and chatter of the park. Once out of earshot, she crossed her arms, her brow furrowed. "Talk to me, Jake. What is going on?" He showed her the screen. "He says there's been a breakthrough with the therapy options, something that could really help Mia." Jake's voice caught. He felt the weight of anticipation and apprehension collide. But what?" Karen pressed, her anxiety rising with every second of silence. "The appointment's this week. He wants both of us there," Jake said, both hopeful and terrified. "This could change everything." Karen stood still, her fingers gripping her arms tightly. "You really think?" "I don't know," Jake admitted, "but we need to talk to Dr. Baker more. Understand what it entails. What it could mean for Mia." "Jake," she said, her voice steadying. "We can't rush into anything. What if it doesn't work? But what if it does?" Jake countered, determination rising like a flame within. What if this is everything she's ever dreamed of? The air felt electric around them, thick with tension and longing. Jake could see the hesitation in Karen's eyes, battling with visions of hope and fear. Would she shut down like she had in the past, or would she finally open that door just a crack? A loud cheer erupted from the playground, where Mia had somehow gathered a small crowd. Their little girl was race-calling and showing off, her laughter contagious. The sound wrapped around Jake's heart, igniting a fierce stubbornness. "We need to support her, Karen," he whispered, looking toward their daughter. "Whatever it takes." Karen's expression began to shift, her resolve waning. "Okay," she sighed, though uncertainty still weighed heavily in her tone. "But we have to talk about this. Together." Just as they were about to head back to Mia, another noise interrupted the unmistakable sound of a bike crash. They both turned to see Mia on the ground, her bike twisted beside her, a few kids crowding around her. Jake's heart plummeted. "Mia!" he shouted, racing forward, fear amplifying in his chest. What did this mean for their plans? What if? This triggered reluctance in Karen again. As he reached her, the world around him blurred. Just for a moment, Mia looked up, eyes wide and filled with a mix of confusion and tears. "Jake!" Karen's voice rang through the chaos, and he felt her hand on his back. "Is she okay?" he breathed, kneeling beside Mia, searching her expression, praying for a smile. Mia nodded slowly, brushing the dirt off her cheek. "I'm okay, Daddy." The assurance in her voice was strong, even as she winced slightly, but as he held her close, he couldn't shake the feeling that this moment was a test of their resolve, of their dreams. They could either rise from this or get swept away once again. What's next? Mia's small voice broke through, and in that instant, Jake knew they had to embrace the uncertainty together. Because if they didn't, they might lose everything. They turned to each other, determination sparking in their eyes, ready to confront whatever wall might be in their way. But as they began to head back toward Mia, a thought struck Jake. What if the crash had been a sign? "Whatever happens next," he whispered to Karen, "we face it as a family." And before they could put a plan together, just then, someone called out from behind them. It was one of the parents they'd seen earlier. "Hey! Can we talk? I think we might be able to help with that event." Jake squared his shoulders, excitement mixing with trepidation. Did fate just offer a new path forward? Jake turned around, facing the voice that had cut through the chaos. It was Brian, a familiar face from the school, a father he often shared quick smiles and nods with during drop-offs. But today, his expression was different. There was a seriousness in his eyes that hinted at urgency. "Can we talk?" Brian stressed, beckoning them over with a motion of his hand. "I've heard about the bike-a-thon you're organizing for Mia. My daughter has dealt with some similar challenges like Mia's, and I think we could help." Mia was still on the ground, her bike half upturned, and Jake's heart raced again, this time, not out of fear, but expectation. "How can you help?" he asked, hoping against hope that this wasn't a false dawn. Brian glanced at Mia, who was now being helped by a couple of kids, brushing off the remnants of the fall. "The community here, they want to support families in situations like yours. We could host a fundraiser, help get supplies, and maybe even cover some of the costs for therapy." Jake felt a swell of emotion, a mix of gratitude and disbelief. "You really think so? That people would rally around us?" "I know they would." Brian nodded, confidence replacing the earlier hesitation. "At the last bake sale, I saw how people turned out for families in need. And they do it for Mia." Karen had stepped closer, her brow furrowing with lines of concern and curiosity. "What would that look like?" She pushed gently, her voice still slightly laced with caution. "There's an old community center down the block. We could set up a day, food, games, maybe even a mini bike race where the kids can ride and get the community involved." Brian's eyes sparkled as he spoke. "It'll draw people in, and the proceeds could directly support Mia's therapy." Mia, finally regaining her footing and her confidence, ambled over with a cautious smile. "Are we going to have a race? Can I participate?" Her face lit up with hope, and for a moment, all the uncertainties seemed to vanish. "Yes, darling," Jake replied, feeling an unfamiliar warmth fill his chest. "This could be something huge." Karen glanced at Jake, measuring his excitement against her instincts. "We should consider the timing and the effort involved. Organizing something like that isn't simple." Jake nodded but couldn't shake the spark of hope surging through him. "But if we do this, it could mean everything for her. We have to try, don't we?" Mia's eyes danced between them, reflecting the mixture of their emotions. She was pulling them both into her world of adventure and possibility. "You said I could ride, Daddy. Riding my bike, showing everyone how fast I am." "Then let us do it," Jake declared, feeling the shift in the air. "This isn't just about therapy anymore, it's about the community, about Mia, and all of us together." The excitement in Mia's voice mixed with the supportive energy that radiated from Brian fueled their resolve. Jake noticed Karen's expression soften, her doubt wrestled with the glimmer of hope that had begun to surface. "Okay," she conceded finally. "Let us gather everyone together, figure this out. But we'll need a plan." As they began discussing the strategy, the world around them melted away, and for the first time in a long while, Jake felt a sense of unity. They weren't alone in this fight, they had support from people who understood the struggle. "Let us make this happen," Brian added, clapping Jake on the shoulder. "And who knows? Maybe this will not only bring the funds, but also resources and other families on this journey with you. There's strength in numbers." With fresh energy, the trio started brainstorming, tossing ideas back and forth like a game of catch. But as Jake watched Mia excitedly explain her vision of the bike-a-thon to her new friends, a nagging thought pricked at the corners of his mind: would Karen embrace this new ambition, or would she retreat as she often had in the past? As he looked back at his wife, Jake's hope flickered in the balance. "Can we really pull this off?" Karen's voice broke into his thoughts, her eyes reflecting equal parts awe and uncertainty. "Absolutely," Jake replied firmly, though the tremor in his own voice surprised him. "Together." Just then, a loud cheer erupted from the playground again, pulling their attention back to Mia. The little girl had begun to lead her friends in a spontaneous race, her laughter ringing like music. In that moment, the beauty of possibility swelled within him, a future painted in colors of hope and determination, but perhaps Mia was not the only one who needed to find her voice among friends. Maybe this is our chance too, he thought, murmuring quietly to Karen. And as they drew closer to the crowd, Jake felt the pulse of fate shifting. What awaited them on the horizon could either validate their fears or unveil an entirely new beginning they hadn't dared to dream of yet. Could they keep moving forward without looking back? Because sometimes, the hardest part wasn't the fall, it was mustering the courage to get back up. Jake felt the rustle of excitement in the air as plans began to take shape. They gathered their ideas around the picnic table like a family reunion, each suggestion nurturing the hope that had begun to bloom. While Mia animatedly shared her daydreams about the bike-a-thon, her laughter echoed, weaving through the conversations around them. Maybe we can get local businesses to sponsor the event, Brian suggested, jotting down notes vigorously. Yeah. Like, a bike shop could set up a stand. Mia chimed in, her energy infectious. Karen, though still visibly cautious, leaned in, her eyes flicking from Jake to Brian. And we can put up a donation link online. It might help reach people beyond the community. Exactly. Jake chipped in, his spirits lifting as they built upon each thought. We could share Mia's story. What she is going through can inspire people. As they tossed ideas back and forth, the weight of their burdens felt lighter. Yet, a shadow flickered in Karen's expression intermittently, as if she was holding back concerns she had yet to voice. Can we really reach enough people, though? She muttered softly. Jake turned to her, seeing the slight hesitation in her eyes. Karen, think about it. Everyone wants to help. They just need a reason to rally around something meaningful. Just then, a wider group of children ran past, their laughter melding with bright shouts of encouragement. Jessie, Mia's best friend, skidded to a stop in front of them, her pigtails flying. What were you all talking about? Mia's big bike race. Brian exclaimed, a smile breaking through. You want to help her organize it? Jessie's eyes sparkled with enthusiasm. Can we have snacks? I can bake cookies. Yes. Mia shouted, her face glowing. The idea of cookies resonated like a secret treasure. And ice cream. Right, Dad? Absolutely, Jake laughed, riding the wave of their excitement. Ice cream is a must. For a moment, all worries faded under the bright sun that painted the playground in warm hues. They were just a few families with a shared goal, a beating heart of purpose and determination. It finally felt like they were making real progress, not just for Mia, but for them all. As they wrapped up their meeting, Jake couldn't help but feel the world shifting beneath them. The atmosphere buzzed with a sense of community that had once felt so far away. But deep down, he was aware of the fragility of this moment. It was a fleeting happiness that could vanish as easily as it appeared. Mia jumped up, waving at the other kids. Let us practice for the race. She clapped her hands, calling them together like a coach ready to motivate her team. Okay. Everyone, follow me. The children ran in a flurry, animated and excited, each one eagerly following Mia's lead. As they all cheered and chased after her, Jake glanced at Karen. Look at her, he said softly, pride swelling in his chest. She is really coming into her own. Karen didn't respond immediately. She watched their daughter race ahead, a frown momentarily creasing her brow. But what if Karen started, wanting to reassure her, to bridge that gap they often found between dreams and reality? I know, she interrupted, but her voice was distant. I just can't shake the feeling that we might be in over our heads. What if this doesn't go as planned? Jake took a deep breath, trying to find the right words. Then we adjust. We've been adjusting. Together. That's what families do, right? We figure it out. For a heartbeat, they stood there, the laugh of children coloring the tense air. He gathered the courage to reach for her hand. "But we'll figure this out together. You and me. Just like we have everything else." Karen looked down, her expression shifting. But just as quickly, a flicker of determination crossed her face. "Okay," she said, a hint of resolve creeping into her voice. "Let us do it." As they headed toward the crowd of cheering kids, excitement pulsing through them, Jake couldn't shake the feeling that this was a key moment in their journey. Would they be able to rise to the occasion and support Mia? As the first dish of hope settled in their hearts, another thought crept in: would they buckle under the pressure or blossom into the family they were meant to be? In the midst of laughter and shouts, that question lingered, a reminder of the uncertainty that lay ahead. The sun began to dip low in the sky, casting long shadows that danced around the picnic table as they made their way back to the lively throng of kids. Mia was at the forefront, an unstoppable force, her laughter ringing with the purest joy. It filled Jake with warmth, yet the tension that had flickered in Karen's eyes earlier re-emerged like a storm cloud threatened rain. "Hey, want to practice with me?" Mia yelled, beckoning for Jesse to join in. The girls skipped away, their voices blending into the laughter that painted the evening. The adults lingered for a moment, watching the kids bound with energy. Brian broke the silence. "This is going to be great. Imagine how many people we can bring together." Jake offered a broad smile, trying to redirect the unease that still clung to Karen. "With Mia leading the charge? I have no doubt it'll be a hit." But Karen sighed, crossing her arms. "What if we can't organize it all in time? I mean, it's a big event. What if the crowd is too big? And what if Mia gets overwhelmed?" Her worries tumbled out, spilling like the hot air from a balloon losing its grip. Jake felt the tug of her fear, but he also sensed the strength in what they were building. "Karen, every great journey starts with a leap of faith. If we don't try, then for sure nothing will happen." She glanced down, biting her lip as if weighing every possibility. "I know. But every single step feels like a risk right now. What if her story doesn't resonate like we hope? People just need to hear it, feel it," Jake urged, his voice steady and confident. "Mia's courage will touch hearts. I believe that." As the words lingered in the air, Karen's expression softened, but she still seemed guarded. "You have so much faith. Because I see how strong she is. We're stronger too, when we unite." Jake reached out again, entwining his fingers with hers, silently conveying a promise to be with her through it all. Karen met his gaze, a flicker of determination shining through her doubt. "Okay, let us keep planning." She exhaled deeply, as if the breath had carried away the weight of her fears. At least for now, the atmosphere lightened, transforming their earlier tension into shared purpose, and they began discussing logistics. They brainstormed ideas, throwing out names of local businesses who might contribute, and how to share Mia's journey on social media. With each idea, their enthusiasm built, creating that same ripple of hope they felt just moments before. Suddenly, a shrill chorus of cheers pulled their attention back to the kids. Mia and Jesse were racing each other, a blur of smiles and tangled hair. Jake felt a swell of pride for his daughter, but it quickly turned to apprehension. As much as he thrilled at her passion, he remembered the grueling reality of what lay ahead. Soon, the laughter faded, replaced by the sound of crunchy grass beneath approaching footsteps. The other parents joined them, their excitement mirroring Jake's newfound resolve. As the conversation flowed, families began offering services: help with organizing, setting up a website, sourcing food vendors. Then one voice rose above the others. "You know, maybe we can even have some local musicians perform. It'll feel like a festival." "Yes. That sounds amazing," Mia called breathlessly as she returned. The sparkle in her eyes was infectious, but deep down, Jake felt a shift in the air. It was the smell of change mixed with the impending reality of responsibility. Could they really orchestrate the event of Mia's dreams? What if all these fantastic ideas collapsed under the weight of expectation? Before he could voice his worry, Karen spoke up. How about we set a deadline for our plans? That way, we can keep everything manageable. We can take it step by step. Jake nodded, a layered sense of urgency creeping into his mind. They wouldn't just be pushing for Mia's race, they'd be bringing people together. Intrigued possibilities loomed ahead, but so did the threat of spiraling chaos. Just then, Jake noticed Mia with her friends, huddled in a circle. What were they whispering about? Couldn't they just be children, caught up in the joy of the day? But as he approached, Mia's eyes brightened, and she exclaimed, "Dad! We have a secret plan." "What kind of secret plan?" he asked, leaning in closer. Her excitement was palpable, yet he felt the weight of uncertainty pressing down on him. What did their daughter intend, and was it another layer of pressure on top of everything else? His heart raced at the thought. Would her youthful enthusiasm lead to the breakthrough they hoped for, or a setback they couldn't foresee? As laughter erupted around him, he stood at the precipice of doubt and hope, wondering what was to come next. The sun dipped lower in the sky, casting a warm golden hue over the park as the air filled with laughter. Mia and her friends were buzzing with excitement, their voices mixing in a chorus of youthful glee. Jake watched, his heart swelling with pride and hope for the future of his little girl. But behind that joy, a knot of anxiety gripped him. Would they pull it all off? "Dad! You have to hear our secret plan!" Mia shouted, bounded toward him, her eyes gleaming with mischief. She clung to her friends as if they were conspirators in a grand adventure. "What's this grand plan, princess?" Jake knelt to meet her gaze, the warmth of his smile urging her on. Mia leaned closer. "We're going to make the bikeathon a super fun race. Everyone can join. And maybe we can have a lemonade stand." "A lemonade stand?" Jake chuckled, the delightful innocence of her idea momentarily lifting the weight from his shoulders. Jessie piped up, "We can decorate it with flowers, and all the kids can help serve. It'll be the best." "See?" Mia beamed, her enthusiasm radiating like the glow of the setting sun. "Everyone loved our lemonade last summer. It'll raise even more money." The simplicity of their idea struck him, and hope surged through him again. Maybe they could rally together to create something incredible, an event that united everyone around a single purpose. "Let us do it!" he exclaimed, his voice rising with excitement. "Together, you all can create the best lemonade stand." As the kids cheered and began chattering about decorations and flavors, Jake turned to Karen, who stood nearby, her arms crossed, a guarded expression on her face. "It's brilliant, right?" he asked, drawing her closer with a gentle motion. "They're onto something special." "Yeah, but," Karen hesitated, her brow furrowed with doubt. "What if it all becomes too much for her? We have to make sure she's comfortable, that she understands what she's getting into." "I know," Jake replied, trying to reassure her, his heart heavy with the weight of her concerns. "But look at her. She's lighting up. If this brings joy to her, fueling our plans, it might just remind us what we're fighting for." As their eyes softened, a moment of understanding sparkled in the air, easing the tension that had built up between them. "All right," Karen conceded, her voice quieter but firmer now. "We'll keep our eyes on her. We're in this together." With that unspoken agreement, they turned back toward the kids, who were now buzzing with ideas. The park filled with energy, a sense of unity that flickered like fireworks. As the days passed, they dove into planning. Flyers were made, posts shared online, and local businesses reached out to contribute. With every kind gesture and donation, the community began to rally around Mia's story, the bikeathon transforming into something much larger than any of them had anticipated. Jake felt alive with purpose, his heart racing with each new development. They enlisted help, turning the bikeathon into a celebration of resilience and spirit. The lemonade stand flourished into a spirit booth with friends and family. Together, they sculpted a vibrant hope supporting not just Mia, but all families battling challenges. On the morning of the bike-a-thon, the sky was clear, and the sun bathed the park in golden light. Jake glanced at Karen, their earlier worries melted away, replaced by excitement and determination. As families gathered, he saw the beauty in their togetherness, the strength found in vulnerability. "Ready for this?" Karen asked, her fingers brushing against his, happiness reflected in her eyes. "More than anything," he replied, feeling grateful for each moment they had faced together. Mia stood at the starting line, her small figure bursting with hope and energy. The community buzzed with encouragement, and he felt a rush of love swell in his chest. "Look at her," he whispered to Karen. Karen's smile widened. "She's incredible," she breathed, her heart alight with pride. As the countdown began and Mia prepared to take her first ride down a path lined with cheers and love, Jake felt an overwhelming sense of fulfillment wash over him. He held Karen's hand tighter, feeling the strength they had gained together fueling their daughter's dreams. 1, 2, 3. The horn blared, and Mia took off, pedaling fast, her laughter echoing like a symphony ringing through the air. She zoomed past the crowd, who cheered louder with each turn. Jake's heart soared as he caught Karen's gaze. It spoke of hope for Mia, for their family, for every chance to embrace being together. In that moment, Jake realized they had transformed their journey from doubt to courage. They embraced the unknown, growing closer while drawing strength from the love they found in each other. As Mia skidded to a stop, panting and beaming, she looked up through sparkling eyes. "Daddy! I did it! I really did it! More than amazing, sweetheart!" Jake scooped her up, joy spilling over. "We rose together," Karen said softly, their journey stitched together with newfound love and united hope, glowing under the bright sun. In that sacred moment, they all understood that together they could chase dreams and conquer challenges head-on, ready for whatever lay ahead. And as the echoes of laughter filled the park, Jake knew this was just the beginning of their beautiful journey together. So if you felt a spark of inspiration as you went through this story, now is the time to leap into action. Subscribe immediately to the channel so you don't miss out on the next exclusive stories that keep your heart soaring. Leave a like now to support future adventures and help the algorithm spread these uplifting tales. Comment below your reactions and feelings about this heartwarming conclusion. Your thoughts matter. And don't wait not even one more second. Share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation in action. You need to show your support because only true fans understand the significance of lifting each other up.